Welcome home to USA Global TV and Radio, a place where dreams take flight, with authentic storytelling, diverse perspectives and meaningful conversations, where global stories unite and bridges are built beyond all borders. Discover world-class education, entertainment, hope and inspiration. Together, we're building bridges worldwide. Subscribe to our channel, USA Global TV. Download our app, USA Global TV. Be our guest or join our team. Visit usaglobaltv.com. Thanks to our founder and executive producer, Dr. Jacalyn Kerbeck. Music score by Yeffy Tang from Cloud Road Music. Voiceover artist Mike Porter. Creative direction by Paul Garcia. USA Global TV and Radio. Your home for global connection. All rights reserved. This video and its contents are the exclusive property of USA Global TV and Radio. Unauthorized use, duplication or redistribution in any form is strictly prohibited.
Brett O'Loughlin here on the Corner Bookstore on the USA Global TV and Radio Network. And today we have another international event. I'm here in the Houston, Texas area, and it's just a wonderful, balmy 80-something degrees outside. And our guest today is from Canada. Not unusual. We've had many guests from Canada, but today Diane Bator is our guest. She's a writer, an author, a mother, a blogger, and many, many, many more things. Not only did she take the time to write and publish her first book, and then her second, her third, her fourth, and her fifth, and it goes on and on and on and on. So we're going to learn a little bit more about Diane today. Diane, please join me.
Hi, Red. How are you?
Exceptionally well, as always.
Good. Well, I'm glad it's warm there because it's really cold here. So if you can send a little heat our way, we appreciate it.
Years ago, my mentor would always say, excellent, as always. And it took me about 30 days to adopt that. Prior to that, somebody said, how are you? I said, oh, somewhat reasonable. And that was my standard answer 10 years ago. But I noticed that when I start saying things like that, it actually changes my brain. I can actually feel a physical change in my body. And those couple, 3 or 4 days a year, I really don't feel well. Somebody asked me, like you did, Diane, how are you? And I say, excellent. And I don't even think, I just wrote. And no, I can feel something. I remember the first time it happened. Okay, let me see what happens next. And the next time I did that, I wasn't feeling well. And I said, excellent as always. And I was amazed at how much our brains can control the rest of everything, even when we don't even think about it. And
absolutely.
But let's get into you. We want to make you the star of the show today. So why don't you give us a little early history of Diane, and then we're going to get right into your writing, into your author career, so people have a little bit of knowledge of who you are and where you came from.
Absolutely. Yeah, I just outside of Calgary, Canada. Right now it's very, very cold, but sun's shining, so there's promise. I've been writing pretty much my whole life and got serious about writing in about 2010. I wasn't sure what I wanted to write, and then I actually won a mystery contest with a mystery novella and went, hey, I'm not so bad at this. So ever since then, I've been writing a lot of mysteries, mostly cozy mysteries. So no blood, no guts, no gore that you read. It's just very light. My kids have grown up reading my stuff, and right now they're all too busy because they're all young adults working and staying busy. I currently have a cat by my foot who is clawing me. So if I jump, that's why. I've always loved to write. I've always been a reader with especially mysteries, but just about everything you can imagine. I read as much as I can, which lately hasn't been a lot. I have a second book coming out this fall, so I am hard at work on that.
Okay, you said you've been a writer most of your life, and then somewhere around 2010, 10, 15, 20 years ago, somewhere in that time frame, you decided you wanted to write a book, and you did. What was the impetus that caused you to, I want to be an author now?
I think when I grew up in Alberta, so I was born and raised here, and then my now ex-husband and I moved our family to Ontario. And since I didn't know anybody, I figured, why don't I see if I can find some fellow writers? So I found a writing group. which was really great because that's how I started making friends in the new community, because I knew nothing about the area. So I started making some friends and they kind of liked what I wrote. So they were really great about, giving me that push to get my book done and try to send it out. And I I fell down so many great rabbit holes. It was ridiculous. I ended up completely getting an agent by fluke, believe it or not. I had asked a friend of mine in the States to read my book and give me some pointers because she was really great. She was an English teacher and really great at editing and things. So she read it over and said, once you finish this, send it to my friend Dawn. Well, I discovered her friend Dawn was an agent and Dawn signed me on the spot. So the wonderful Dawn Dowdle, she's passed away now, but she really helped me get my start, helped me find a couple of different publishers. And last January, I kind of went on my own and set up my own publishing company to relaunch all of my books, recover them. And I've been just having a blast with it. I did not know I loved making covers.
Well, why don't we go down that rabbit hole for a
Mhm.
moment or two? Okay, you got your original covers done from someplace,
Yeah.
and now you're relaunching. What is a reason for changing the font, the color, the style, the cover text, whatever? What are you really looking at now? The books have been out for a while, and we can show
Yeah.
some of those here on your website in a moment or two. But what are you changing on the cover to make it more distinctively you?
Just kind of changing. I mean, most of them are mysteries. Most of them kind of have a mystery look or feel, but they just felt, I don't know, they weren't me. And I think I just like something that's bright and eye-catching. Uh, my Glitter Bay Mystery series is one of them where they were all kind of blues and, they were great covers and I loved the gowns on them. But I went for something more of a fashion designer kind of feel because the stories all take place in a vintage clothing store, but a couple of the characters are dabbling with fashion design, and that does come in later in the series about them starting some newer fashions. But it was just so much fun to just play with these covers and try to see something different and something brighter, something more eye-catching. And my Written in Stone was actually my very first cover I designed. And I was kind of nervous about it, but I put the book out. I actually entered it in a award contest, and I won a bronze medal for my cover. And I was just floored. That was just like confirmation that I'm like, okay, I can do this. So that made me feel great. And that's the one. The second book is coming out. It will be called Diamond on the Rocks. And I do have the cover designed because I did them all at the same time. And I'm really excited for this book because the first one has won awards already, and the second one is going to be just as much fun.
What software are you using to design your covers?
A little bit of everything. Mostly I use Canva. Um, I love some of the stuff there, but I also get things from Deposit Photos and what's the other one? RTF 123, I think it's called. And just for some of the images that I can't get on Canva, but they have all kinds of different fonts and that sort of thing. So I'm having fun messing around.
Now, one of the things I was told a long time ago when I published my first book that you just creating a book on Word and using Word fonts is not the way to do a book cover because when you shrink it down to the size of a stamp, you can't read anything.
No,
So
exactly.
you have to get some really you have to get the right kind of fonts for a book cover. So somebody who's listening, well, I can do that on Canva, but you have to really know what you're doing. It's more than just putting text on a picture and saying that's my cover.
Yeah.
So is there a particular font genre that you prefer using on your book covers?
Not really. Like I say, I just kind of play around and see what works. And so far everything's been really good. No, knock on wood, but so far I've been happy with the covers I've come up with. And I try to keep the look consistent in the series because I do have several series. The Glitter Bay Mysteries, they all have a similar look. Even though they have very different covers, they have the same look. So they all have like a fashion designer sketch along with a piece of jewelry, which sounds kind of cheesy maybe, but they do give exactly the feel that I want, because a lot of those pieces are either involved in the story somehow, or they're things that could end up in a fashion design house or in a vintage store, which both are things that come in play in the books.
Okay, you had mentioned on backstage that one of the things that you as an author was the need to actually get it done. There's anybody, not anybody, 80-90% of people want to be an author in the United States, but about 2 or 3% actually become one. But it's a journey, and you can't get off the side of the road and spend a couple of years doing something else. You got to continue and get going. You joined a writers group and you started getting support and everything. So how long did it take you to write those first couple of books, and then how long did it take you to edit them?
That's a whole other thing. I think the first few books are always take a little bit longer, just because you're still learning how you write, what your process is, what you want to write. First of all, I just love mysteries. So when I discovered that I'm actually not bad at them, I started writing these great mysteries, and I have a series that right now is on the back burner. It was my original first series. When I left my publisher, we took that down, and I will get back to doing the edits and relaunching all of those. But right now, some of the more recent ones that I have been much more popular. So I'm going with that, and we'll get those up first. And that's the Glitter Bay series, and now the AJ Cadell series. So it's hard, and I know it's hard. Being part of this writing group and meeting other authors, it's hard to sit and write for most people. I'm not most people. I'm one of those people that things come to me, and I have a whole shelf full of little folders and binders and stuff that have notes in them for future books, future series. That's just how my brain works. Not everybody's brain works like mine, because mine's just a little out there some days.
So it took you a while to write the book, but then you said it was a different story to get it edited. So tell me about your editing journey.
Yeah, when I first started, I didn't know very many people in the writing community. I knew people in my group, and they were all happy to edit. And unfortunately, not all of them are real editors. So you learn a lot that way. And once I had my agent and I started working with her and her editors, it was a whole different thing. You learned so much so quickly. And when the first book came out, I know now, like, here we are, 10, 12 years later, it will need a fresh edit. And that's part of me going through all of these books, redoing covers, re-editing, because you cannot write books and edit that, or you can't write books and put them out there and not learn a little something. So I'm going back, I'm doing all the editing and all of that. But the newest books, I have now, all these years later, I have a really great writing community. And if you want to write books, that should be your first thing, is find a writing community. Find people who can help connect you to really great editors, because once you meet a couple of really great writers, there has to be a really great editor behind them. So talk to people, get to know people, learn who they work with and how they got to where they are. Like, you can learn an awful lot instead of being in competition and going, well, I got my book up there in 20 days. That's great. But who's going to read it? Because it's probably not your best work. And every book you write, you're going to learn so much stuff.
Okay, so you write the book and you get it edited, but in your particular case, because of the genre, a mystery, you have character development, you have location, you have plot, you have lots of things that are involved. I'm a nonfiction writer. I write about health and wellness. I don't worry about plot development or other things. So in your case, you need a specialized editor, not just somebody who can correct the grammar and the syntax and the diction and the spelling and things like that. You need somebody that will help you do that plot development and everything else. So you have more than one kind of editor, or does your editor that helps you on the front end also help you on the back end, your developmental editor?
I've been really lucky that way. I know so many different people that I can work with. A lot of them write mystery. Some of them write cozy mystery. And I usually try and get kind of beta readers. So I'll give them a copy. They'll go through. And I had, for Written in Stone, I had, I think, 8 different people who gave me feedback and gave me edits and gave me all this stuff that we reciprocate. So when their books come out, they send them to me, and we kind of trade the editing, trade the beta stuff. It's like, okay, well, this doesn't work here. Maybe if you move this over here or whatever. But it was really funny because out of 8 people that I had reading the book and giving the comments, they all had 8 different kinds of comments. And they were all fantastic comments, which for me was terrific, because I'm like, okay, this person saw something, this person didn't. So for me personally, I don't like to rely just on one person, just because of that. Like, you see things that someone else won't see, or they're not looking for. So it kind of worked out really well for me in that way, that, you know, I know there is a typo on the cover, but but I'm like, I will fix that in time, but it hasn't happened yet. But there will always be one of those typos, which always makes me laugh, because you can read the best-selling author, you may still find a typo in there. And it's not that nobody looked for it, it's just nobody saw it. Or it's just an escapee, and if it lives through so many rounds of edits, then we just kind of go, it deserves to live.
Editing is a very special process in the writing of a book. And sometimes that takes forever because you're sending it out and you're waiting on someone. Before COVID, I used to have a house party at my house. Basically, people come over, have some wine and cheese and whatever else. And we socialize for a short while, and then an hour and a half of editing. And I give random chapters out, red pen, and put people in different places. And over 2 nights, I would have 20 people come through the house. And I get a lot of feedback because I wanted to know, does it make sense to you? Do you understand what I'm saying? Not so much the grammar and everything. But I did have one guy once who's also been on the show here many times, some more than a few. He says, change if to when. And okay. So I looked at that thing and I had 87 ifs. 84 of them needed to be changed to when. Because if this happens, you do this. But when this happens, you do this. Different context in the brain. And so as you say, some people they see things you never see. And, that and which and a few other words that we have tendencies to use. But I get a lot of valuable information back from other people. And I think that editing process is one of those ones that we grow as an author. So I think what you're doing makes a lot of sense. So in about a minute, we're going to go ahead and go to a station break. But before that, the editing time that you plan on right now, your next book, how much time do you allocate for editing?
It just depends. If it's a book that I've already launched and has been taken down, I will just give it a good read through, clean it up. Usually a couple of weeks, I'll have it all organized. The one I'm working on now is I still am in the middle of writing it. So that's going to take me a little longer. And Mickey actually wants it by May or June. So I'm like, okay, I've got to scramble. So.
Okay, you mentioned Mickey. That's Mickey Mickelson of Creative Edge, I believe.
Yes.
He provided a lot of guests for us on the show. We're going to go ahead and take a quick station break here. My name is Red O'Loughlin. We're on the Corner Bookstore on the USA Global TV and Radio Network, and we'll be right back with you.
Ever dreamed of hosting your own TV show, sharing your story with a global audience? Now's your chance to shine. At USA Global TV and Radio, we make it easy for you to create, host, and broadcast your very own TV show. Whether you're a storyteller, entrepreneur, or industry expert, we help you bring your vision to life. With our exclusive interview, live streaming, and podcasting training, you'll gain the skills and confidence to captivate your audience. Our global platform ensures your voice is heard worldwide. Join our community of creators who are already making an impact, one show at a time. Step into the spotlight. Host your own TV show on USA Global TV and Radio. Book your discovery call today at usaglobaltv.com. Copyright 2025 USA Global TV and Radio. All rights reserved. Terms and conditions apply. To learn more, visit usaglobaltv.com.
Okay, Errol Laughlin, we're back on the Corner Bookstore, and our guest today is Diane Bator. And she is from Canada and a very prolific author. And Diane, please join me again. Let's go down the publishing aspect. Most of your earlier books were all traditionally published. And then you decided recently that, maybe I ought to look at that business. Tell us about that mindset. What changed that you wanted to now be your own publisher?
Absolutely. I had 15 books published with a small Canadian press, and things just weren't going the way I wanted them to go. Obviously, money-wise, if you're jumping in to be an author, don't bother. There are so many people who write books and so many people out there with books up on Amazon and all of that. Unless you really have the passion for it, you're not going to earn back a lot of money. A lot of us have been doing this for a very long time. It's like breathing. So when things kind of went sideways last year with year before, 2023, things kind of went sideways. And at the beginning of 2024, I thought, you know what, I can do this. I've learned so much. I have friends who have been independent publishers for a long, long time. So I started having kind of monthly meetings with a few of them. We get together on Zoom because we're scattered all over Canada. And we talk shop, like what kind of programs do we use, what we're running into problems with, that sort of thing. And they were really amazing at helping me get my work set up, helping me find the right programs to use. Sorry, the cat's attacking my foot. So they were really instrumental in helping me get my things off the ground. So last year I actually did relaunch 4 books, or 2 were brand new, 2 were relaunches. And it just helped my confidence with what I wanted to do, where I was going. As I said, my first book, The Written in Stone, that was the very first one I put out as an indie author, was received wonderfully. And I can't say it's made a ton of money, but it was a really great incentive to keep going, just because I had so many great reviews and so many great things going on around it that I just want to keep going with the series for sure.
What is the most difficult part that you've learned being a publisher?
Watching the sales, the royalties, I guess, trying to sit down and go, okay, well, I'm going to keep going, even though this one I've sold 2 books this month or whatever. And it's trying to figure out what works. Marketing wise in particular, it's a lot of trial and error. You can do podcasts, you can do these TV shows, you can do all kinds of things. And it just depends how people hear about you, where people hear about you, and how they see your books. Because a lot of times there's millions of books on Amazon. So your book isn't going to be the first thing that pops up. They're going to have to look for you. They're going to have to be able to find you. And doing these kind of things is one great way. But as an author, you have to find ways that work for you personally, because not everything works for every author.
I'm also a publisher, and the people who come to me generally have a problem with formatting the book. It's not difficult, but there's a lot of little things that you have to know in order to make it happen the way you want.
Yeah.
And so that's a technical thing. But to me, the biggest time waster that I have no control over is getting the cover from the designer that actually fits the book and works in the system. And that, I can publish a book in 10 days or less. In fact, less than a week sometimes. But if that cover is bad, I mean, I've gone back and forth 7 times and had to change designers because I could not get the product that was needed that passed KDP, Amazon, or whatever.
Yeah.
So anyways, there's a lot of little issues there, and sometimes they don't always pop up at the same time. And sometimes they're really weird as to why isn't this working?
I've had my own issues with cover art too. Back when I was with the publisher, there were 2 books. One book had already been published. The second book was just coming out. And I gave them 2 separate ideas for covers. This one I wanted for book 1. This one I wanted for book 2. And I fully expected to get copies of 2 different book covers. The cover artist combined both into one cover.
Oh,
Which was, okay, that's funny, go back and change it. The problem was that the publisher had already uploaded the wrong version online. So I think they're all down now, but it took years to get them all offline. And I see it and I still cringe, but I did love the mashup cover. It was still one of my favorites, but it wasn't the right cover. So
do you use AI for any part of your business?
possibly some of the cover stuff, like you don't know picture wise and stuff. Sometimes you don't really know where it's coming from. But as far as writing or anything like that, not really.
Yeah.
No.
When my clients want me to handle the cover art, I usually use Fiverr.com, and they reasonably well. And usually, depending on what it is for my own, I'll get 5 different ebook covers done, put them out on social media, and say A or B, B or C, C.
Yeah.
So I have some feedback. But recently, I had an author who had a book back in the 1850s in Central Texas, and he wanted a very specific book cover. So I asked AI, well, give me 5 different book covers with these parameters. And it did. I took that information, sent it to the client, and he said, I like B and C. Okay, so I sent B and C to Fiverr.com and said, here it is. Here's the rest of the story. And when I got something back, it was exactly what the guy wanted. He was super happy. And it didn't take very long. So I like that. It cost a couple of bucks extra to do all that. But the clarity of your mind's concept of what you want and the delivery of the final product, I thought married up very, very nicely. So
that's a great way to do it. I've never thought of doing it that way.
Yeah. So, but audiobooks, how many of your books are audio, or are you going in that direction?
The publisher I was with was just starting to do that when I was leaving. So this past year, I really haven't delved into that. And just because there's been so much I've had to learn over the past year, I am looking towards that. And I've been doing some learning and I'm kind of figuring out what I need to do and how much I need to spend and all of that. I know there are ways to do them on the cheap, but is that what I want to do? I haven't quite decided yet.
An offset, I should have asked you earlier, but most of us as authors read, and we read a lot. And you said you haven't been reading as much lately, but do you read other cozy mysteries or other kinds of things that may or may not give you some thought processes? Well, if I change that, I can use that in my book. Is that the kind of stuff you read, or do you have something else you just zone out on just to kind of relax?
I read a lot of everything, really. Like, as I said, I have a lot of friends who write a lot of other books that I've been to. Last year in particular, I went to a couple different conferences. So I come home with, way too many books. So I have this big stack of things to read. But I love to read, especially indie authors. A lot of them are people who they've been trying for years to get traditionally published. Some of them have really polished, they're really great books. they just can't get a foot in the door. Some of them, rightly so, but most of them are just really great books by really great authors. And a lot of them have just given up on the whole traditional route just because it seems very cliquey sometimes. You have to have just the right thing for just the right person. This way you can put out the book that you love, that your friends love, and hopefully you'll find an audience base out in the world that will love your books as well and fall in love with your characters. Most of my books on my shelf are either writing books right now or indie published books, because it's not that I refuse to read any bestsellers. I will read them, but I just prefer to read things that I know where the ideas came from. I know where the books came from. I have them all signed by these great people I get to meet. And it's a lot of fun, and it helps to build your own writing community as well as it helps them. They get the sales, they get to meet other writers, and I have so much fun at these things.
The book launches that you're doing, tell us a little bit about how you arrange your book launch and what happens and what kind of time frame your expectations are met.
Well, I expect them all to sell like that, but it's not going to happen, right? My processes are changing. With the small publisher, there were times that you would send in a manuscript and they'd edit and they'd send it back for you to do a final edit. You'd send it in, and before you woke up the next morning, your book was already up on whatever sites. And it was very stressful because you could not plan a launch. You could not plan to do any pre-sale or anything like that. And since I've gone on my own, it's been great because Mickey Mickelson, he's really been helping me to figure out the best way to launch my books, the best time frames. With this new book, Diamond on the Rocks, we've set up a whole new time frame. So I've got to get my butt on my chair and get some writing done. But I already have some notes for the second book because I did them while I was writing the first book, which was really great. I'm not a huge plotter, so a lot of it's just totally at the seat of my pants, but I just love to do it. So it will get done, and it will come up in, I will give it to him this spring. It will be up for pre-sale in September, and it will go live in December.
For most of us who are new authors, we get our book written, we get it published, and then we think about marketing.
Yeah.
When you start having an independent publisher or a traditional publisher, that marketing process starts a little sooner. And for a lot of us, we don't even think about marketing because it's not an area of expertise. And as you start writing your third, fourth, fifth, sixth, you realize how important it is to tell people that, hey, I'm writing my fifth and sixth book, and you need to know about it now before the book is even out. So
or even written in this case. Here I am talking about it. The book's not even written yet. So
those are super critical items because you're doing something. It's working on the book, whether it's actually writing or editing or whatever it may happen to be. But people who follow you, who want to know more about you, now know, okay, I have another one coming out. To me, I find one of the most displeasing things in my life is I've read the 15 books this author has written, and I can't wait for the next one, and I have no idea when it's coming out. And I've been through that process too many times. Let me just look one more time, and there's nothing there. Let me pop it up on there's no. And so I love what's being written, but I can't find anything more from that author. And so that's one of those things that you have to share your life with your audience, because they're the ones that when that book comes out, they're going to be telling other people about it. It's part of that marketing program, that word of mouth sort of thing. So as we're looking at our marketing audience, what social medias do you rely on more than anything else?
I think mostly I end up on Facebook and Instagram. Those seem to be the ones that are just the easiest for me. I work full time aside from writing and publishing and whatever else I do. So it's just easier just to pop up a little thing going, oh, I'm in my writing cave today. I'm working on this book. I'll be back tomorrow with more information or just something fun. I love sharing jokes, which sounds very silly, but I have a lot of people who follow me. If I don't tell any jokes for a day or two, they're like, is everything okay? So any kind of, as long as they're clean, they're fun, and especially with things going on in the world right now, we all still need to laugh, and we all still need to read books and escape and just find ways to lessen the stress in life. And I find with the jokes, a lot of people are like, oh my gosh, I love that joke today, or I found the one that you posted last week and it still makes me laugh. So that makes me happy, because I love that people are still finding ways to laugh and to have fun. And I have put out a couple of times that, okay, I need a character for a book. I actually used, one of my friends won a contest to have a character named after her in my Gilda Wright mysteries. So she appeared in one of the later books, and she doesn't know yet. Well, she will now, but she will appear in the last one of the series. So she'll be kind of happy about that.
Have you ever killed off any of your people that you've named after that they know that you know?
No.
Oh, you say cozy mysteries. There's no killing. Never mind. Forget that question.
No. Yes and no. Like, I mean, obviously they're very disguised and whatever, but there was a situation a long, long time ago that I was like, okay, you know what? I would love to just strangle this person. So in the book, I think, I can't remember how he was even killed off, but he was the first character killed off. And I'm like, okay, well, I feel better now. Now I'm not mad at him anymore.
Well, we're getting toward the end of the show, and I promise you a little bit of time. How do people buy your books? How do they get in touch with you?
My books are everywhere. Excuse me, everywhere online that ebooks, print books you can buy, pretty much everywhere. I will have some eventually that will be only on Amazon on KU. And I haven't quite decided when yet, but you can go to my website, which that's my lovely little logo. I have to brag about my logo because my daughter's fiance actually designed it for me, and I just love it. My little palm tree. All of my social media links are on there. My book covers are on there. There will be more book covers coming up because there have been a few more books since then. So, but yeah, feel free to tag me, to follow me, to ask me questions. I have my newsletter that comes out on Substack, and I've just been having a lot of fun with just reinventing myself and all my books.
Well, fantastic. Thank you so very much, Diane. It's been a very enjoyable conversation today. And you're always welcome back. That's one of the things we do allow here on the USA Global TV and Radio Network. So with that being said, I am going to go ahead and start closing the show out. And I wish you some warmer weather up there in the Canadian area. So Red O'Loughlin here in just about 21 minutes. Our next show called The Wise Ones will begin. And my guest today is Gil Stolzenberg. He's a very dear friend of mine. He's been on the show before. I could spend 20 minutes just reading his bio because he is just an amazing person who just a life full of so many things you can't believe. But anyway, he's also what I consider to be a networker's networker. And we're going to talk a little bit about networking today, which is a major portion of any business, whether you're an author or a business owner or whatever. So with that being concluded for today's show on the Corner Bookstore, I look forward to you joining us next week on the USA Global TV and Radio Network for this show, The Corner Bookstore, The Wise Ones, or my own show called Talking Heads. And catch you all next week. Take care. Bye, y'all.
In a world full of noise, misunderstandings, and interruptions, master the art of listening with Dr. Jacalyn Kerbeck. Dr. Jacalyn Kerbeck is the listening mentor of USA Global TV and Radio and the Amazon #1 best-selling author of Mastering the Power of Elevated Listening. Elevate your listening. Elevate your life. Join a global learning experience in person or via Zoom. Reserve your spot today. usaglobaltv.com/book-your-session or drjacalyn.thinkific.com. Join Dr. Kerbeck's listening courses or hire her to unlock deeper connections and authentic conversations. Have you ever felt unheard? Like your words float into a void, leaving you invisible and disconnected? How about feeling judged, when assumptions overshadow your truth, leaving you misunderstood and defensive? And then there's that moment when someone offers solutions you never asked for, dismissing your feelings and leaving you more frustrated than before. It doesn't have to be this way. Dr. Jacalyn Kerbeck, the listening mentor, understands. She's here to help you reclaim your voice, build stronger connections, and create meaningful conversations that inspire understanding and mutual respect. Through her groundbreaking books, online and in-person courses, and interactive workshops, you'll learn how to navigate life's most challenging interactions. Discover the power of elevated listening and transform how you communicate. Master setting boundaries and asking permission to protect your peace. Learn to recognize and release judgment, fostering empathy and true connection. Dr. Kerbeck also offers personalized coaching, one-on-one or group sessions designed to fit your unique needs. Whether in person or virtually on StreamYard, her guidance will empower you to thrive. You don't have to struggle alone. The path to deeper connections and better relationships start here. Visit drjacalyn.com or usaglobaltv.com. Join a global community of empowered listeners and transform your life, one meaningful conversation at a time. Dr. Jacalyn Kerbeck is the listening mentor. Start your journey today. Thank you, viewers and listeners of USA Global TV and Radio, for joining us today. We're honored to have your time and attention as part of our global community. At USA Global TV and Radio, we believe in the power of authentic conversations, meaningful connections, and creating a world of possibilities together. Want to be part of something bigger? Join our team of elevated listeners at usaglobaltv.com, a space where your voice matters and your ability to listen transforms relationships. Stay connected with us across all our platforms for thought-provoking discussions, expert insights, and empowering stories. Subscribe to our channels at youtube.com/c/usaglobaltv. Follow us on social media and explore the endless opportunities we're creating for growth, learning, and inspiration. Together, we're not just broadcasting, we're building bridges and changing lives one conversation at a time. For inquiries, contact us at info@usaglobaltv.com. Music by Johnny Dies. Produced by Executive Producer and Director Dr. Jacalyn Kerbeck. Voiceover by Mike Porter. Creative Direction by Paul Garcia. All rights reserved. Copyright 2025. Visit usaglobaltv.com to view our full terms and conditions.